Check request forms, I have blanks if you need them for today for any expenses. Fill them out, Adam can sign, and we can get you a check today. Please make sure you are clearly writing and thorough on those so I can read them. I mean, if you want your name spelled right, if you want it to get to your address, if I have to mail it, it's got to be clear. One thing to know is that in the previous accounting periods, because the last report I have from the last actual treasurer was January 2018. It's a lot of time that's passed since Scott kind of just put things on autopilot and walked away. I don't have very good accountings for anything from that point forward. Everybody did their best to make it happen. So I'm just letting you all know, I'm not going back and balancing anything prior to me starting. If it's not billed out by now, I'm assuming it's not an expense that we are going to incur from that time frame, so I'm not worried about it. We have plenty of cash on hand if something came up that we had some bills come through that didn't get spent, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm not worried about what went out at that time. So kind of starting over fresh and new where we can account for everything at this point forward. Unless we run into a tax issue where I have to look something up and figure it out and balance it, or we run into the board needs it for some reason. Otherwise, I believe that will all consider it closed, just so you know. And exciting news, two things. One thing is we have a P.O. box now. So for mailing purposes, I'm going to have you folks, you may want to write this down, send everything to the New Mites P.O. box. And that is P.O. Box 2518, Midland, and zip code 48641-2518. Yep. So it's P.O. Box 2518, Midland, and the zip is 48641-2518. And Kevin does have it in the rules packet too, so it's there. Thanks, Kevin. I forgot to put it on the report before I printed it out. And then secondly, Pete and I this month will have the phone set up, so Mike's will have a phone number going forward, probably before Thanksgiving. So, other than that, that's my report.
Motion to approve?
Second. Oh, sorry, someone make a motion.
Second?
Second.
I'll do this.
Discussion. Thanks for getting all that set up, first of all. That's the first step towards moving in the right direction for everything else that we need, so appreciate you doing that.
Just kind of a side note on that, once we get all this set up, then we can move forward with the Google Suite. So we're trying to, what about Christmas? Maybe around Christmas break, we'll start with the exec board and get all of that merged together. And then I'll send out emails to everybody to kind of get them their new stuff. Or we're going to take the old email addresses that everybody has and just merge them in. And then we'll, maybe at the January meeting, as a board, see if we can figure out some structure to get all of our data in one place.
Awesome.
What were you able to find for endowment fund CD? Did that go forward, or are you still?
I didn't move it over into it yet. Just didn't run out of time. That'll happen.
You honestly, somebody honestly said 8% when you talked to them. Can you tell me what fund that is? Because I have some money.
That one, I haven't seen any since that was closed out late this summer. But I've heard 7% out there and 5%. So they're there. It's one of these things like credit union pops up with, hey, we've got this great new special. One of the things you have to be careful with is some of it's like, if you open an account for your kids, we will let you put up to X amount, or you have to put a minimum of 5,000 or something like that. So that's some of the caveats of some of those, but just, I mean, even if it was 2 and 3%, it's still better than 0.2%. So
Cool.
that's where we're going with that. And it will cycle through. And my plan is to get it so that we roll out the chunk of the endowment in sections. So we'll do a CD like a 6 month of 5,000 or whatever, and another, next month we'll do another 5,000. So we're always rolling that money, and it's always available in a chunk of money if needed, without having to break out the full amount. So we may have it in multiple places as long as we know where it's at when it's coming due. Pop it to another one or take it out as necessary.
With the,
Hi, welcome. Morning.
with the specials that are local to me, if it's a special X number of month at 5%, it renews at the normal, whatever month percent, so you're always monitoring it.
Right.
Good luck to you.
You can't just let them roll on.
Automatic rollover is low percent.
Right.
So,
So
maybe not so many, but, divide them in half or like I said, thirds or whatever, but be aware of it.
Right, that's what I was thinking, like if you do 5,000 each, that gives you, 3 and then a little change left over. And you can roll it and start moving. And if you find something down, like here in the Detroit area, I'll make a drive down
Well,
to do that.
which bank are you looking at? Insurance or how? Through the bank we currently use,
Starting with the bank you currently use, right? 'Cause they
which is
said
Chase or
2 and 3, it's Fifth Third.
Fifth Third?
But, I mean, if you run into something with a local bank, if they're willing to do it.
A lot of them will match too. Mine, until some of them got a little high, they were matching every time. And the trick that worked for me was, if you can't match it, I'll move my money. And they said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But that didn't work the last time. So.
Okay.
And also CDs are going down.
Right.
But thanks for doing it.
You're welcome.
Do you have enough money in the checking account to cover the lobbyist? Because we just gave the lobbyist the check, so they're going to be depositing that here probably next week, and that was $6,000.
There's 10-3 in there, so I can move over as necessary.
Okay. I just didn't want to deplete you totally out of that.
That's the only, if you just gave him the check, that's the only amount that's outstanding at this point.
Okay. So we need to take a vote. All those in favor of the report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Convention chair, Jeff is not here. Does anybody know if he was coming? He didn't send me anything or say anything. We'll go to the report. Commercial exhibits. I called Rob twice.
He said he was coming. Yesterday I texted him and said he'd be here.
Okay.
He'd bring
Could be.
something.
He told me he was coming. I told him I tried to get him a hotel room.
People need an order.
I know. RAO chairperson.
Currently, we are looking pretty good with our RAOs and our regional, basically our regions. I think I have everything scheduled out except for 2 of them. We'll hopefully wrap those up. And those 2 people are actually 2 that I just got their information like 2 weeks ago. So we're going to wrap those up, and then we can send that on to Rick, and so he can publish that. And then one thing that Adam and I have been talking a lot about is that basically our RAOs are the lifeline to mites. And so we're really going to have a good meeting for our March meeting and really emphasize that, the success or the failure of mites is very squarely set on the shoulders of our RAOs. They need to, since we're giving them voting rights, we need to make sure that they're going out and trying to do their best to contact their local schools and make our organization grow, not just sustain. So that's going to be one thing that we talk a lot about come our March meeting. So, but other than that, like I said, we're on a positive path to getting everything done and moving forward.
Motion to approve. Second. Discussion. One thing that Chuck and I did talk about, which falls a little bit on a burden on the executive board, and I hate to put more pressure on us as an executive board, but what we would like to do is, Chuck and I both believe that a phone call is the best approach to getting out to our RAOs and making that human contact with people. because ultimately we want them to make human contact with their constituents in their own counties. So what Chuck and I have decided is that we would like our executive board members for the region you're in to reach out to your own RAO chairperson as a member of our executive board and go through, and I have the list for you, go through the responsibilities and those sorts of things and just talk to them about bringing one additional person to MITES. Just finding someone in your region, one person to bring to MITES. And then Chuck and I will bear the burden for any of our executive board that doesn't cover a region. So let's say we have Region 16 doesn't have a executive board member. Chuck and I will call that RAO and have the same conversation with them. So we'll pick up the slack for anybody who's not on the board. But that way it kind of splits the responsibility up a little bit so that our board members reach out first just as, hey, I'm in your region, I'm on the board, I just want you to know how important you are, how valued you are to our organization, because let's face it, they truly, if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing according to our guidelines, they are instrumental to MITES. And I really believe that back in the heyday, when MITES was, 800 members strong or whatever it was, those people played a key role in the happenings of MITES. And we've gotten away from that to where a lot of our regional officers are just running a student competition. And that's what they're doing. And they view that as their sole role in the organization. But really, it's not their sole role in the organization. They have so much more responsibility than just that. Not to mention that those are the people that eventually end up feeding into our executive board. So we're really trying, Chuck and I really want to try and build that relationship up with those people. And we just think you being in their region to start that conversation is better than Chuck just dropping a bomb on them. You know what I mean? So if you are, and I'll look at the sheet Yasmin passed around for what region you're in, but if you're on the executive board, please plan on reaching out to your RAO chair and just valuing them and telling them how important they are to our organization and asking them to reach out to one additional person to bring to MITES. Does that sound appropriate? Okay, all right. And then like I said, anyone that's not on the board or any regions that aren't filled from the board will cover. Yep, yeah.
And Chuck and I did this last year, and a great way to start is not to have them participate, but be a judge.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the best ways, because then they get to see behind the scenes a little bit.
Like we did a bunch of emails of cold calling last year, and if they said, "Oh, I don't know if I want to participate," or "I did it before, I'm not sure if it's changed or whatnot." Moving forward, that was how we got them. Hey, if you're not going to be part of our group, how about can you come be a judge for us? That way you can meet everybody here, you can see what we're about, and it works. Like we had, I think 3 or 4 people judge, and those 3 or 4 people that came to judge for us last year are now going to end up being members moving forward. So, one thing I found is communication. It's a struggle. Even people that are RAOs that were past presidents are. All you have to do is enter an email, and it's become a struggle just to get people to return our emails and whatnot. So that's going to be our one thing that we emphasize is, hey, communication. Like we're here to help you, but we can't help you if we don't know what's going on.
I like that idea. 'Cause I have somebody in my region who used to participate when he was in drafting, and he never got anywhere. But I think if he's a judge, that he'll see things that he knows that he'll be able to compete with some of the drafting people in my region. Good point.
Dave, did you have a
Dave?
question?
I was just gonna ask do we have any, information to give to potential RAOs about why they join? What's the benefit for them? We have stuff to draw members in, but then if we're asking them to judge and do other stuff, do we have anything that they can, take with them, mull over, and then make a decision?
I think our RAOs don't necessarily understand their role in the organization anymore. I think we've gotten so far away from that
Exactly.
that they need to just understand this is what the actual position of an RAO is. This is what you signed up for.
Some kind of sheet outlining what they're
Yeah, we have that, and I'll give that to
Right.
our executive board here too.
Okay, can you send it to me and I'll kind of write up a blurb?
Probably.
Okay.
probably know what I'm gonna say. You've said a lot of what I've been harping on for the last 3-4 years. I really believe you need to meet regularly. I know it's, we call people to 4 meetings during the school year and 1 in the summer. And we haven't had an RAO meeting except for the March meeting in 4 or 5 years. How are they gonna learn how this thing works if they're not?
Attention crafters, we are about to begin the craft
That's
show.
my
We
goal
will
at
have
our RAO
table
meeting in March,
sitters
because
walking
we
around
haven't had
in
that
orange
call, we
vests.
haven't had
If
those
you need
goals,
to
we
use the
haven't had
bathroom or
that
have someone
mindset.
watch your table,
It's
you
gonna
can
be
flag
tough
them
to
and
pull
come down
them
and have them sit at your table for
today,
you.
or in
Good
2
luck
months.
today, and if you
So
need anything,
that's
please
why
let us
I'm
know.
pushing it off until March and saying, all right, well, here's our competition for this year, but let's go ahead and let's focus on more about what our role is and our communication and everything else, because it's hard to start that if we're not all there. So hopefully we can get everybody or a majority of our people to the March meeting, and that's when we'll say,
We
hey,
absolutely need them all at the March meeting to pick up their stuff.
right,
The pre-training thing, I can't remember if it was November or January, where we used to have an overnight, and it was a training session and family time and the whole thing. We had big crowds. And, a lot of those folks went on to become members, besides RAOs, there were other members of committees of the board. And they knew what was going on. Your handbook of duties lists, their responsibilities. That's something you could share with them. Somewhere in all of our paperwork is a guideline with month breakdowns of these are the things that need to happen during. We should probably look for that and update it, because it's, the last one I saw was mimeograph, the purple blue stuff. It was good information. It just looks funny if you pull out one of those old sheets, but we can deal with that. But yeah, I'm really glad to hear. I think that, the Constitution or the bylaws or the handbook of duties speaks to the RAO meeting an hour ahead of the regular board meeting. And all of those people have really been board members for a long time, including the assistant RAO. And the last time we revised the bylaws or the Constitution, it wasn't listed. So we listed it. So keep them in there. I mean, those are the folks that take the jobs that are above the RAO positions that make this thing work. And I know that going to meetings is a pain in the neck. We're working to make it as efficient as possible. But, I also remember Leonard Fritz, past president and long time ago member, that used to say, what are we rushing through the meeting for? Which was boggling, because we used to go to 4 o'clock some of those. But, you've got to remember, you've got business to do and a responsibility to the whole organization. He said, do your job and, do a thorough job. Made good sense. We rush to the meeting, hurry up, get done by noon. Why? Most of us drove more than the length of the meeting, so thanks.
Yep, go ahead.
So just as a aside about what Dennis was saying on the, like a November meeting for RAOs, we talked about that last year, and Kim was gonna set something up, and I don't think it ever materialized, I don't remember us doing it. So, if you wanna set something up like that, and you wanna do, say, an overnight, give me a 6-month heads up on it. I can get my wife scheduled to come in and do some leadership training or something, because they really are, you're saying, the front line of leadership. I'll bring my wife in to do some leadership training with them, and we can just have a great evening, and the next day we can move on to other business or whatever you want to do. Just give me about a 6-month heads up so I can get her scheduled,
Yeah.
because that's about how far we're out.
it's not a bad idea. Let's talk about that and see what we can do.
So question about voting. Do we do approve? We do approval, they present, then we do approval, a second, then do we vote and then open discussion, or do we
No,
do discussion
first
and then vote? So we're doing it in the right order?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Because I know I did it wrong last meeting, so I tried to fix that. So, all right, let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. National organizations?
Go ahead, that's not me. We're gonna point you after that.
Oh,
We talked about.
Yeah,
we were gonna
so,
talk, yeah.
Pat, we would like you to be our national organization. Honestly, what you do with the national organizations, with
With your national CTE.
CTE,
National Honor CTE.
Honor Society, we would like to bring that to MITES
Okay,
as a part of our accreditation, if you will.
okay.
It helps us justify with the state that we're nationally recognized, and it helps our MITES members get the accreditation and certifications and all that comes along with it. So, when it comes to appointments, we would like to appoint you. How do you feel about that?
Sure.
Beautiful. So
Good
it's
answer.
Recognize that segment.
Is it STY?
Yeah.
What?
STY.
STI.
ST. It's Y, isn't it?
I.
STI.
What's with the Y now?
It's with
Are you sure, Pat?
It's Patricia. All right, Rules Committee.
All right. Got the document up there. There's a lot that changed.
Did you say there's a lot that changed or not a
There's a
lot?
lot that changed. I did get rid of the deleted categories, so the numbers have changed on some of the things. So that was one of the requests amongst many others. If you wanted to peek through it, I've sent it out a couple places, just having double checked and haven't heard back.
Page 3, you got my number wrong.
And yeah, just if you could just peek through it, just let me know, because Dave does have it up on the website, but I can always make an edit just quick. I don't like to make too many edits on the rules, but as far as phone numbers
And Josh's
I get-
email.
and just because I get so many, what's that?
Josh's email.
Alright,
Mm-hmm.
so. Yeah, like there's a few things, but like, usually that's just thrown to me at a verbal, like these numbers and the emails and stuff, and so like maybe I write them down wrong or something, so I usually like to get it out there, and I usually get a few just the corrections. I just check also dates, just because of, make sure I do have the dates like that. I also have contacted Little Bills, because I have this year's president's pin and master teacher. I don't have next year's, so I'm getting a quote to see what the price is. They should be fairly reasonable. I have a master that I have to give down to them to make those. I also have getting a quote on judges' pins to give the judges this year. If it's too much, I'm not going to go through with it. But it's just like I've told you, I've standing and says my speech over and over again. If it's not for the judges, what's the point of all this? The competition is fairly big, and you want to reward those guys that are volunteering their time. And in the past, we've definitely slipped up with even certificates. We give them a nice lunch, but just get a quote on that.
Motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. On the website, where is the rules located? Because I've had several members.
So
There's
I-
3 different places. So, and this was just changed earlier this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my internet connection's dirt slow right now, so I can't really look it up. But if you go to,
Is it under members tabs?
I believe so.
It's underneath the competitions tab.
Yeah, there's competition, but then we also added a direct link in that menu to the rules.
So you don't have to be a member to get to the rules.
Well, it's gone back and forth, to be honest. At one point we said you have to be a member. At one point we said you don't have to be a member.
Well, let's make a decision on that today. Do you need to be a member or not?
I think we should not have to be a member. That way we can attract people into our organization so they can see
Okay.
it.
Gotta see it.
So it's done. So will you,
I'll fix that today.
yeah, because I had an automotive teacher that reached out to me and couldn't find a new automotive teacher, and they were looking, and I tried to tell them, but they weren't members yet.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind,
I'll make the.
just put it real easy to find under whatever rules, click.
I was gonna say the link that's got the rules themselves, this document, I will make open.
Okay.
The page for this competition, I will make members only.
What's the page for the competition?
It's got all of the details, like where it is, the regional map on it, download forms specific to the competition, that kind of stuff. The other one is just a link to this PDF. Or do you want all of it open?
That should all be open to
All of
anybody.
it?
Everybody.
Okay.
I think anybody, yeah.
We
But
can
if
do
they wanna
that.
join, then
Yeah,
they
we're not a secret
they can see
society.
where the
Can't
region,
participate unless they join.
Yeah, and it would be easier just to have it where you just leave it all open.
With
I
a
can do
link
that.
to the membership form.
I mean, the only thing that's gonna be closed is to people when we start entering projects, that's the only
Yeah.
red
Do you want me to
flag.
create then a separate menu item, like drop down for the competition? It will have the rules, everything like that.
I support whatever you want because you're doing an awesome job with it. I just want it to be very easy to find. I want any fifth grader to be able to get on mites.cc and be able to find the rules for their middle school category.
Okay, we can do that. I'll have that done by
Yeah.
next week.
I also would like a spot for judges to sign up if they want to volunteer. If they can go to the website.
Okay.
And then if they log, just because like we all know how it goes, the convention chair will call me 2 weeks before the competition and say I have 15 judges. And so it's like, then it's just a mad rush trying to get them. Then you get the quality of judges you expect with 2 weeks notice.
Okay. Do you have a
So-
form that I have to fill out or anything?
No.
Okay, I'll put.
I mean, I have a spreadsheet with past judges on it.
Good to have like.
Well,
what
just like
area.
what information to gather.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, just contact information, general
Okay.
contact.
I'll put that together and shoot you.
And then
a
just an
preview.
area that they would be an expert in, you know, so they can sign up. Just as, you can always refer them to the website and say, just fill out your stuff and then we appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion?
Yeah, so looking forward, Kevin, is the goal to have these, so like at this convention, this conference, instead of people arguing over all of what's this and that,
Yeah, no,
throughout
that's-
this year, have people come up with the ideas.
Right,
So
so
when we,
I sent out a text to my rules committee,
okay,
and I'm trying to get a date when we can all meet. And I started the roll, we're all everywhere. So I just said, all right, we'll wait till we get things going. I'm trying to get them all to an actual face-to-face, because the email thing, it's weeks before you even it's horrible.
Yeah.
And so I need my rules. Yes, that's one of the biggest things is, you know, like I just literally got another one about a rubric that get added to this thing after I asked the guy from last, you know,
right,
and I sent it to him and I says, you suggested a rubric every convention, and I see that rubric.
right.
I mean, we've addressed that millions of times, but I've never seen anything that you're suggesting that, you know, you stand here and yell at me that this judging is unfair. But I haven't seen that come through. So regardless is yes, I don't want any of that battle. Is if you can go through the division reps, come to me, that would be great, you know, and yeah, that's the goal, is before the convention to have something lined up for a system, so you have maybe just division reps or REO or whatever we come up with, presenting that stuff, so it's just a quick thing. Send out. Yeah.
Is it realistic to have our rules on the website by August?
No.
Okay.
If we do that
If we-
system, yeah.
Yeah.
But when you don't do it that system, no, it takes forever, because you try to limit as many edits as you can, and you're just waiting for emails. And so, like, for the suggestion that rubric getting added to the rules. I'm sure,
Yeah, we
you
just
can,
had-
that'd be wonderful if you can present that to me. And there's a handful of them that suggest that, you know. And there is one guy that is actually really good, so I'm hoping that he can pull through. But there's another one that just suggests it, and then I don't hear anything. And, so there's things like that that would be kind of like probably holding it back. But as far as the actual content, if we had a system that would be a little bit easier than everybody just throwing it all out there and then trying to get together and then get a committee together to actually go with it, it's definitely time consuming. What's really time consuming is hand entering results, trying to get that up way before this. This gets put on the burner.
Right.
That's what the slow up is. That
And do we have any way to-
in there in my living room trying to hand enter forever, people yelling at us about the
Yeah.
results, and we're like, not much I can do about it. And so then that's what gets this put on her burner. And then
So is there any way to expedite that process?
yes, that's Dave. You know, Dave knows exactly all about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're
it's
on
all,
it.
it's
So
just
we're
all
moving.
system. It's all system.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like
As long as we're always moving
we
forward
have to be 'cause
and
if
not
we
perpetually
cannot
dealing
do
with the
it.
same problems.
We can physically not do it, so we won't be doing it anymore. Because the last 4 years have been murder.
Okay.
You put a deadline and say, hey, this is the deadline.
Yeah, that's what I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
The hard date, this date
Hard
right
date.
here, if it's
Hey,
not,
if you want any changes,
You,
this is the
you
date.
basically do that when I publish it.
yeah.
Because you give them, okay, a couple months into school, all right, we're all back. That's way too late.
Too late.
It's
yeah.
it's
It
way
needs
too
to
late.
be
But,
August 1st.
but the same token is like, you know, you're gonna get 1,000 emails after this and say, hey, I wanted this change.
Well,
You didn't
next
say that,
year.
you're like, yes, I did.
August 1st
Where
was the
did you
date.
say in the bathroom?
August 1st.
Yeah, that I almost feel like we need to be a little more stringent and say
Yeah.
August 1st is your deadline.
Right.
We're gonna have our rules out by August 25th, and it's done.
Yep.
And if you want to change after that, you change it next year.
That's why I suggest that when we actually do that, I don't want to say that format of submitting changes at the convention. If we were to do that, that would probably be, well, we were up until September 6th entering results from the convention. And so that's more important at that time because you need to get those published for Rick when he's emailing you every day asking for them. Then this gets, because you're like, well, then we'll get together and get this out because you can get the school year started without this in your mind when you're saying the results need to be published because that's important that they get published. So that's just the, yeah. So I think if we actually go through with what we planned this convention, we should start to see that back to having these before the school year, you know, actually these all set, and then the results posted before the convention is done. That's
Right.
the whole idea.
Awesome.
That's
Sounds like we're doing the right thing.
that's just, yeah, it's just getting there. It's a little hurdle. And then again, and then that's just part of my report, but the rubric, you know, there's probably, I'm average about 18 emails I'm probably could pull up with people asking for a rubric for our judges, and every one is a little different. There's a guy named Justin that seems to be kind of on top of it, and I'm gonna kind of work with him just to present it to the board. I don't know if it'll work or not. You know, I don't see it working. But that'd be awesome if we could pull something through because that would be nice to have the criteria. So I don't know, I guess I'm gonna continue to work with that guy and kind of see if he can just present something because he kind of gets the idea. He's got the idea right. And so I'm hoping he can pull something that I can present to the board and say, is this something we want to address? You know, general rubric for the judging criteria. It's gonna be difficult, but if we can pull it off, that'd be nice too. So that would be something in addition to the rules. That's not part of my report, so it hasn't been presented yet, but
Great.
I'm thinking he'll pull something off pretty good. So we'll see.
Awesome.
So, yeah, definitely moving forward. But yeah, the whole the time on this stuff is hard, and especially when there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's the convention stuff is we need to fix. Because if the convention stuff was fixed where it's like it's very simple on the web, like it used to be, like Bright 90s stuff, phenomenal. It's just an outdated system. And yeah, that was quick because everything was scanned, done, and then you could still go out to the floor and cheat a project or an error because it was in front of you. Not September 2nd, we're sitting in my living room getting shot with Nerf darts, trying to literally go through a mess. And so that's just not fair to the membership that everything's such a slow process when we have the talent to make it right. So when we do, and I think we're actually heading in the right direction. So we'll see.
Any other discussion?
Just a mention to Kevin, your president and master teacher things,
Yeah.
there should be a die. Do they have
They do.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
so there won't be a die charge for that.
Yeah.
But it's a limited run of pins. I think the last time we ordered those was, I think we did 10 or 20 years worth.
Yeah. I have your note still saying that because I have the masters for them to make off the dies, and they do have the dies. Still.
Okay.
But it's the price went up a lot.
Oh, yeah, well, it's a limited run, so those pins are not, they're not $10.
No.
No, they're probably more like $30 or $40 a piece.
I think they're double that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The prices went up a lot.
Yeah.
And she, it was a lady. I don't know if you're familiar. I know you know Little Bills, but it was a lady there, and she was definitely. We did a lot of business for them, and she was trying to help on the price. She said it went up a lot from the last time we ordered. So I was like, just to try and get it. If anything, it was too high. I was gonna see if I can get that high. maybe try other places, you know?
Well, we used to go to a place called Oshkosh Personalizing
Okay.
out of Wisconsin. And that's where we got all of the, those little round
Yep.
MITES pins, and we got those pretty cheap. Of course, they were sent overseas to have them done. The original batch of president and master teacher pins came from a jeweler, and those were, ours are gold. They're real gold. You can't afford that anymore.
No.
But you're gonna, you know, my suggestion is once you find a source for that, is to buy several years
Well,
ahead.
that was the
Yeah.
plan. We're all set for this convention. So I figured I'd get the ball rolling. I just called the little bills to see get the process started.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I was gonna do because, yeah, we're good for this commission, but then if I could get the next 10, just going to try and get that pressed, that would be good.
Yeah, and as far as the rules go, after the convention, we have a meeting between our rules committee and make the changes, and ours was done by September 1. And if you didn't make a change by September 1, deal with it
Right.
for next year.
Like when Guy was on my committee, I'd go down there and just go fishing, and we just take care of it right in his camp there.
Yeah.
And have it submitted and stuff, and
Yeah.
then the whole, there's a lot of stuff that kind of holds the process up. Yeah, that's the one thing is you want to try and get it as efficient, but at one point you have to cut it, you know, and say, here's the rules, maybe next year.
And hold to it. The
Oh,
minute
yeah.
you cave into somebody, the
Everybody
word will
did.
get around.
Yeah.
So
Did
make
you have-
make the rules, set the date. If they complain, tell them come back next year.
Right. Do you remember the judges' pins that were gold?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Because they didn't make those in
Oshkosh did
Is it
that.
Oshkosh?
Yeah. I don't even know if they're still in business
I'm
or
gonna
not.
try.
It's Oshkosh Personalizing.
Any other discussion?
I just want to tag on with Kevin, and I do think that if there is a portal on the website where we can say, you've got a rules change suggestion, go here and write it out. At that meeting, instead of them bombarding you, write it out. It's due by this date. You don't turn it in by this date, next year.
It's not gonna be.
Right. You're not taking your verbal requests, you're gonna write up the idea in just a submit format. Just simple text box, name and.
Which is how the organization used to do it.
Done.
It was always written on
Yep.
Yeah, oh,
a
yeah.
piece of paper.
Yeah.
Never this verbal stuff.
Well, that's the hard part. That's where you get the wrong numbers because you just have one you're trying to write in and Kim's writing and I can't read her writing because she sends it to me on the phone and it's hard.
And that eliminates that from being a meeting of complaint to a meeting of, these are
Productivity.
issues we need to fix. All the changes can be done on your own time, send it in by this date. We want to move that committee to, let's fix problems we have, not let's talk about how we want this category to be updated.
I was just gonna say, Kevin, if you wanna draw me up something of what you want the form to be, I can
Oh,
have it
sure.
up in the next month.
Okay.
Any last discussion before we vote?
Oh,
All right, all those in favor of the report, say aye.
Alright,
All those opposed? Membership report.
We're still at the 250 mark, but we do, and since probably September, we have 2 new members. One that I thought the school didn't even have a program. In fact, Josh had to help me find the guy because of just some of the problems when they register online. If they have your administrator do it, it creates some issues, but we got it figured out. And then I had 2 members that haven't been members since 2016.
off of
You know, we're at 4, people are registered as of right now, only 4, so, which is probably about typical, I mean, within the next, but I do know others, because the one lady, it takes her school 2 months to get something through, so I had to send her a form because she couldn't find it, all that stuff. So, yeah.
Motion to approve? Second?
Second.
Discussion? I think Kevin was the first. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alright. Webmaster report.
I just closed my thing, of course. So, a couple of things. Here, I'll scan. So, I was going to show off the project entry form. We do have that structurally done. I was waiting for Kevin to give me the okay to put in all the divisions, categories, all that stuff. So I'm going to talk to him. We built out a new user profile form, so when people enter, all of the information that they need to register for convention, they'll be prompted for all of that. I think the spouse is the only thing, and I wanted to ask you about that. I haven't put in yet. So when they register for their general membership, all of their convention information is propagated. We do have a membership directory that they can even look through now. There's one thing, it's not displaying their addresses correctly, but that's a coding thing on my part. The rest of it, it's fully searchable. So Pete, I'm going to send you a request to have members update their profiles. So it's got all the valid information in it. What else? And then we're getting the mass mailing system ready. Hopefully that'll be done by Christmas. And I'm hoping for the January meeting to have the full competition system ready, minus the reports for Kevin, because I've got to sit down with him, and we're going to do a whole new way to do that. So hopefully I'll be able to show it all off then. So.
Awesome. Motion to approve? Motion to approve?
Approved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. One thing, if you don't mind putting in your notes, will you add the executive board under the contacts? Because right now you have to be a member to see the executive board contacts.
Okay.
So will you make that public where at least, just go right through the journal, or I guess we've got new positions now, and put the whole executive board where public can see it,
Okay.
so that people can reach out to us.
Yeah, I can do that.
Dave, are you gonna have it so that I can do convention and then shut it?
If you want to go in and do it, basically it'll set dates.
So it'll all just be preset that it opens for registration. It doesn't just close that before. As long as it just closes.
Whether you want to do it or you want me to,
Okay, yeah.
I can do it either way.
And we have to look at, talk with you too, because there was, how you said it prompt, I had somebody that had his administrator's information, so I sent him an email, and then he fixed something, but when I went down through that list, farther down, he didn't put information in there, so it didn't, must not have prompted him when he went hit save,
Do you know when you did all this?
probably Wednesday or Thursday.
Oh, okay. So we'll work on
Yeah,
that.
then I got another one that's really strange that I'll have to
Okay.
review
Just give me a call and we'll work through all
Yeah.
those bugs.
And just so you know, the executive board that's on the website currently is wrong. It's last year's.
Yeah, I forgot to update it.
Oh, no problem. I'm just reminding you.
Yeah.
So, let's vote. All those in favor, nope. Yep. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Reports of other leadership. This is the legislative branch, which is me. Chuck and I had a really good and productive meeting in Lansing. We went up there on Wednesday and met with several people. We met with Governor,
Office of the Governor.
Office of the Governor. So it wasn't the actual governor that we met with. You meet with their representation, who had never heard of Mites, no concept, no clue about us. So we had about a half-hour meeting explaining the organization, how we're for all teachers, and what really separates us from some of the other professional organizations that that are out there. And obviously the main thing is that we're not just CTE, we are all kids, K-12. And that's a big push that we want the governor to understand, that MITES is about all kids, not just a handful of the top best that might be in a certified state-approved program. So we had a very good meeting with her. We then went and met with Senator Hernandez, who is the head of the Appropriations Committee, and had a very productive meeting with him about the $50,000 that's allocated in the budget currently for the MITES organization, which Jim Thielander was instrumental in getting that approved. He seems very supportive. We thought that maybe that was just a situation where he was trying to appease a constituent, but in the end, he very much values what we do, and actually pushed it so hard that it was approved in the House and Senate. So that appropriation went all the way to the governor's office, and she line item vetoed it. So the executive board may remember me sending out an email a week or two about me sending a membership, an all blast to the membership. Hey, reach out to your congressmen and senators, but it's not them. They've actually already approved it. And what the senator recommended we do is email the governor directly so that she understands the value of this and takes that line item veto out, because we were specifically targeted in the budget to be vetoed. So you should see that here next week from me. A membership going out to, or a letter going out to all membership encouraging them to contact the governor about the importance of this allocation of money. But he was very supportive. The House is very supportive of it, and the Senate was very supportive of it, which was surprising because they typically don't like to give money to individual organizations, but they see the value in what we do for all kids. And for our teacher seminar, that was the other big part of it. So this money goes, yes, towards the student competition portion, but it also goes to getting top talent in for our teacher convention, to get good speakers in and those sorts of things for our teacher training, which obviously we need very badly. We then met with the MDE and with Ryan Piles, who's the Director of Career and Technical Education. That meeting also went well. They've changed their mind. The last time that MITES was represented was in 2012 with Joe Churches and Alan Papendick met with the same group of people, and they were given a list of things that MITES needed to, I'm just going to call it hoops to jump through, that MITES had to do to become a registered CTSO, which Chuck and I and most of the board really wants us to be a registered CTSO. So the advantage to that is in a track audit for our CTE teachers, you can list MITES specifically, and that counts for your entire track, that entire track portion. Right now, what our MITES teachers have to do is run a CTSO in their school, a student chapter, and that's technically what's being judged by the state. The student competition is just where the kids go to compete, which is the other half of that. We want to be all-encompassing of that. And they gave us some new and very unique criteria. One of the things that they want to see is the live student competitions. And they went as far to say, which I personally felt was very insulting, but they went as far to say, we would rather see 70 live students than 7,000 student projects. And Chuck and I, well, they recommended that. They actually said that. They said if you had the students come and present the projects, or if the students were there, it would be less show and tell for the teachers, were their exact words. So I felt that was a little insulting. But, you know, to appease them, if they want to see more live student competitions, they want to see more live student competitions. And if this is something we want to broach, then we need to go that route. Currently we do the construction and the automotive. We're looking at bringing on welding and drafting sooner, and machine tour sooner than later.
Welcome to the 2019 Dakota Boosters Holiday Craft Show. Please don't forget that the stamp tables are located in each area. We also have the Crafter Basket Raffle with over 500 items, $500 in items. You can get the tickets at the door, 5 tickets for $20 or $5 each. Also, we have concessions by the east entrance.
They also said that they liked that we are doing student leadership, although they question the amount of students that are actually participating in our student leadership opportunities. They want to see it more like a DECA type of situation where we bring more students to our competition, not to compete, but to get leadership training. And Chuck and I broached the question, well, what about training, offering training to our teachers, who then take that back to their own, our CTSOs, and give that same level of training, which they seem to be open to that idea, not necessarily having all the students come, but they're really into having students present. Furthermore, they feel that we do not have sufficient diversity in our organization. And obviously Chuck and I jumped on that pretty quickly because we service 7,000 student projects, so obviously that's 6,500 kids, you know, and they're pretty diverse. But what they were talking about was our membership is not diverse. They feel that we're an organization of old white men, and they said that, outright said that to us. And they feel that if we want to be a diverse organization, we need to recruit people to our organization of color and minority and sex. So that one's obviously going to be a hurdle for us because we don't get to choose who a district hires. But they said, you know, you need to go to Detroit and Kalamazoo and Benton Harbor and those type of places.
But they don't.
I agree. And type of recruit those people. So those were things that the 2012 group never heard. So they heard about the national organization and they heard about the student groups, which we did those. So what Chuck and I did at our meeting is we said, no problem. What we want is a list signed by the Department of Education that says these are the things bulleted, and we even said in a chart, these are the things that you need to do to be a registered CTSO with the state. Like 4-H, like Skills, like all those organizations. We want a signed document from you that says if we meet these criteria, then we will be registered. And we want that same list of criteria to be given to all of the organizations that you're representing. Because they said, well, we're going to have these same meetings with there's 10 organizations that the state, says you can be a registered CTSO, 10 of them. And they said, well, we're going to have all these. And I said, no. I said, we want a list, and we want that list to be the same for everybody. And they agreed to that. They said they felt that that was fair, and that's a difference because with Brian Piles as the new director, he thought that was a right way to go and actually asked his people, yes, we need to give Mites a list that says if you do these things, you're in. So that's at least a step in the right direction because we'll have a formal document that we can go off and the rules will quit changing. Because right now, every time we meet, the rules change, and we can't have that. Because we're doing the things that they're asking us to do and they're not giving us credit for it. So, Chuck.
Our last meeting was honestly, it was a good outcome, but it was a hard sell. It was up and down. To be honest, we started off in the mediocre and it hit the floor real quick. And the reason that is because they didn't feel like Mites was willing to work with them. They felt like a Mites kind of came in and tried to push them around a little bit. And so one thing that Ab and I made sure that we wanted to emphasize with them, first and foremost above all, was that we're building a relationship with MDE. We're building a relationship with MCTE so that we can work together to help each other out. And through our conversations there, but also our relationships with Brian Piles and Dana Hughes and Joanna Mahoney and the other people in the room, we were able to bring them to the table so that we can actually push forward and move forward. So, and afterwards, we were in a private note, we were actually kind of said, hey, we're here to support you, we're here to do this, but you got to help us too. So as long as we take that mindset that it's not us versus them, it's us working together, and we keep that mindset, I think we're going to see a lot of good things happen. And that's what Adam and I want to try and keep on working on with MCTE as we go forward is, hey, we'll do these same things for you to help you out, but here, we need to be your go-to as well. You know, when you need something, if you want to ask questions about, you know, our machine tool teachers, how we feel about this certification or this, we want you to come to us so we can ask our people, because we're your group. Not just CTE, but we're your group for MDE, all encompassing. So it's, I think, like I said, our biggest thing when we move forward is making sure that we are on a positive note with those people at MDE and MCTE, and that's our goal, to build those relationships.
And one of the big avenues that we have that the other organizations don't is we participate with the feeder programs. So we're in the middle schools, we're in the freshman centers, we're the exploratory programs. And what the state is looking to do, or I'm sorry, what the Department of Career and Technical Education is looking to do with the Department of Education is actually really, really good. Because Chuck and I probably spent 30 minutes fighting to allocate funds to non-certified programs, which they absolutely 100% will not budget. They will not reallocate money from a certified program to a non-certified track. They won't, they just won't do it. However, they are proposing in the state budget to create 3 individual tracks. Exposure, which would be K-12, K-6, exploration, which is 7th and 8th, and then career and technical education, which is 9-12. And those are going to be 3 entirely separate pots of money, which is awesome, because that money will be directed to our programs. So instead of a 7th grade shop teacher getting $300, they might get $1,500 or $2,000, because that money will go directly towards the exploration of a career pathway. And that is in the budget, and that's something that we told MDE, yes, that is something our members will support you in. That is something that we can reach out to our 250 members to take to their school boards and to their superintendents and say, push for this at a state level, because it spreads that funding out. But what it does, where we're going to hit a hookup, is that it takes from the general education fund and earmarks money specifically, which obviously districts don't want to do that because they want to use funds fluidly for whatever the crap they want. Okay? But that is something that Chuck and I both said we are proponents of that, or we support that, we will do that, and our organization will help with that. Because the other professional organizations that are out there don't. They only directly work with CTE. That's it. So we really fill a void, and like Chuck said, it's about working with them. And they were very, very resistant. They almost came up with their gloves drawn. You know, oh, it's mites. Let's fight about it. You know, and they came in with a stack of paper, literally, from 2012 meeting about these are the things, and we told you, and blah, 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 and on and on and on. Chuck and I just went, whoa, whoa, whoa. We're different than that. We're here to work with you. So, motion to accept the report. Second. Discussion. Whoever, go ahead.
No, don't we need to have a discussion first?
Yeah, discussion.
We haven't voted yet.
We haven't voted yet.
We haven't voted yet. Discussion.
We just moved to approve.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, does this mean we could potentially have CTE in elementary?
No.
Not CTE. Exploration.
Exploration, okay.
STEM
Yep.
classes would be.
STEM classes.
So,
STEM classes, okay.
yeah, hopefully we're looking at getting funding for our middle school and unapproved programs, whether they be middle school or like our IX certification, TETX. That's what those extra pots of money are going to be for, hopefully.
The reason I ask is a district that I formerly taught or used to teach in Dearborn, they actually did some of that, and we still have some of the curriculum. I'd be willing to donate that over to MITES to be able to give to members or to pass on to districts if they want to start.
And that's at an elementary level?
That's it would be, I think, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades are what we had targeted back then. It's like a simple birdhouse project.
Never.
It's
but-
just something to get them hooked.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Exposure.
So- But, I mean, maybe we
It's
could
exposure.
take to the state and say, look, we have a program built out, we could pass it along.
Yep.
That would be good.
That would be good. And yeah, I think the state would appreciate it.
And
Curriculum.
then your leadership component could come from those high school kids going down and mentoring those elementary kids with that project.
It could be.
That's what I
You know, so
do
you're
that
Yep.
bringing
already.
in those other grade levels with that.
Which is what they want to see. Yep.
One thing that helped us out is because one thing they said was you don't have any student leadership. And I said, hang on. We heard you back in 2012. We heard you over the past years. We started off the CTSO, the leadership. We also brought in live competition with the automotive and construction. And they said, well, we love that you're not jumping in. That was one of their things. They said, we're happy that you heard us and that you are not jumping in head first with this, that you're taking your time to make sure it's done right. And I said, as we move forward in the next 3 years, we're looking at actually expanding our live competition into other areas because we heard you. We want to open up that opportunity because that's what they want to see. So if we can keep our thing has always been project. We want to keep that, but we also want to offer the other opportunity for our teachers, and hopefully we can wrangle it into all-encompassing. So at a nice cost.
One thing that did make me a little nervous or apprehensive, I guess I would say, is they did talk about offering partial requirements being met for certain programs. So let's say the construction met the CTSO requirement and a live competition requirement, they would allow any construction teacher to count mites towards their requirement. Or if you brought students, a student leadership group to our student leadership program, they would allow you to count your school towards that requirement. But not, let's say Chad brings woodshop kids.
Welcome to the
that wouldn't count.
2019
Does that
Dakota
make sense?
Boosters
So
Holiday
they
Craft
started
Show.
by saying, since we're
Don't
going
forget
so
to purchase your
slowly,
tickets
they
for
said we
Crafter
approve of
Basket
that.
Raffle at
And
the
if you
door.
want to go
We have
slowly, we'll
free
move slowly
baskets
with
valued
you.
at over $500 each.
That's a good
You can get
start.
5 tickets for $20
Yeah, and allow partial
or $5
programs.
each.
I mean, because if we're
Also,
looking
don't forget
for
to
an
stop
ad,
by the stamp tables in each
I said,
area
"Oh,
to
I know,
complete
I
your
wanted to
stamp
add that
card.
stuff."
Concession stands are available by the east
That's from
entrance.
ours.
And
That's why-
congratulations to all the Dakota
I've said it
football
for
players for
years
beating
now that
Chippewa
I love
Valley
that.
last night.
Especially as we go to start doing these community colleges that maybe have a shop that we could use if we're doing all these, I don't want to say free venues, but, you know, but it's going to cost us money to do that.
And that's
No,
why
I
the
have a-
Skills
I have a
USAs
high-
are so expensive.
That's why I was saying, that's when you start, and and then of course you have to have a rule, there's a whole document, and of course I agree with that. I've been wanting that for a while, but it's just, I don't think it's gonna be a fast.
It is not going to be
It's not.
fast.
And so, but if we get started with what we already have being, because I took students to I presented at the student organization 2 years ago in Lansing. And I'm just IX, but that could get the ball going, so, I don't know.
For the CTE conference you presented,
Yeah. Yeah, there's 3 other students, or 3 other groups. When Chuck did this thing with the plaques, I said, we made some firehouse things for the fire department they burned, and they could open up the doors and see the draft and stuff. It was just a community project, that's
Yep.
all we did, but, the language that you talked about, 9 through 12, when you talked to them, you just get the idea that they were just talking about CTE through 9 through 12?
they are
But you
very.
said the 3 funds, because you said 9 through 12 being separated, and to benefit the IX, you'd have to use the verbiage IX.
Yes, and here was their answer to this, and you're not going to like it. What they feel that we should do is they honestly feel like we have it wrong. They feel that the exploration or the exposure should be in elementary, the exploration should be in middle school, and 9 through 12 IX teachers should be vocationally endorsed. And what they feel that we should do is we should offer training to our teachers free of charge through our organization on how you can do an externship to get the hours needed, because you need 4,000 hours. So do the externship, get an internship through one of the colleges so you can double count your hours, and actually certify our 9 through 12 programs.
I agree.
They don't believe that any IX, TE, TX programs should be funded in the high school. They only feel that 9 through 12 should be on a career pathway. And they were very adamant about that.
And that's the Perkins, right?
That's Perkins
Yeah.
and added cost.
And,
Yep. And they feel that if you want to get Perkins at added cost, you need to play by the rules, and that we're doing a disservice to our members by not teaching those people and coaching those people into how to get certified. Because really, it's an arduous process, but at the end of the day, it's possible. If the teacher is willing to do either a post-bac program or an externship where they can get their hours. Because that's the hardest part.
Sure, absolutely.
But you know what, they've made it a lot easier
Way
than past years. I mean, when I got mine, it took me 3 years to get it. Nobody knew what was going on. You can now do it in a year. Plus, districts are, I mean, for the IX certification, some of them are paying signing bonuses because you do get that Perkins fund and the added cost. They can do, I think it's like 10% what they want with it. So and that's a sizable chunk right there. So they really like it.
Yeah, and that's something, I don't know if it's best to offer, they recommended that we do a day in service, aside from our competition or our convention. They felt that, and the reason they felt that is because that's how the other organizations do it, the 4-H's and the Skills and the HODAs and all those people. They offer like a one-day seminar where they say, hey, we're going to hold it kind of in the center of the state. If you want to come learn about this, then come, and we'll teach you everything you need to know to become a state-approved program. And they're willing to come with us to talk to people about, this is how you become a state-approved
That
program.
might be worth
That's a
doing.
good
That'd
idea.
be-
I mean,
That would be a big thing.
And have them come and.
Yep, and present right at it.
Exactly.
Yep. Because ultimately, they want career and technical education, but they don't feel that people should be dibbly-dabbling in 9th and 10th grade. They want you to be on a pathway by then. You dibble-dabble in middle school.
But that's also taking us back to kind of the way it used to be.
In which I made sure that we understood that, not we, as in they understood that what we're doing in the state right now for career exploration is not working. When we set, and Adam heard me say it in every meeting, when we set Zello down in front of these kids and say, here, go explore, and they're leading them, Zello is a terrible program. It's something's better than nothing, but it's a terrible program that misleads kids in careers. And I said, no, that's a start, but it's not the end all. The best thing we can do is put teachers in front of these kids to help them explore it. And they were very open to that, and that's why we started talking about the different pots of money to actually start to fund that again. And we made sure to hit on that with every person that we talked to. And they were very much so all supportive of how do we get this back in the kids? How do we get this back in front of the schools? So,
Would middle school and elementary teachers have to be IX certified?
So, I actually just got an email from Vic, and this just passed. Like, I'm talking 2 months past. You no longer need to be IX, VT, or TE, or TX certified to teach middle school programs in the state. And the state's answer to that was they're going to put an industry member in those positions to fill them. Obviously, from our standpoint, Chuck and I, we do not believe in that for our organization, and we told them that, but the answer they have is very interesting. And the answer was, here's the deal. You can either put in a teacher who has industry experience, who may or may not be good, or you can close the program. So our answer to that, obviously, when Chuck and I sat back and thought about it and talked about it, we would almost rather have a person in the position who then we can make a MITES member and offer teacher training seminars to those people on how to become a better teacher, right? And gain membership that way, than close a program and sell equipment, which is what we never want to happen. So the answer to that question is no, you do not have to be an IX teacher anymore.
Go ahead.
At that level.
Well, and to be honest with you, you never really had to be, because all you do is you change the name of the program. So
Yeah.
we now have a STEM program and our science teachers are teaching it. So really you didn't need to have that anyway.
Yeah, but now you don't even have to have a teaching degree
Right.
at all.
But I can see the problem
And
with that.
that's
That's
also.
the worrisome part.
All of us can think about
I agree.
1 to 5 different programs in our region that is closed down because they can't hire anybody. I've got one right down the road that literally fired their teacher last year because he was terrible, and now their shop is open, vacant, which we're working on trying to get keep that shop open. But that's what we really need to fight against, is closing those shops down and keeping them open. Even if we can hire a retired teacher to come in and teach it for a few hours, at least it keeps the equipment there and keeps that spot open.
And
But-
typically, a journeyman works with apprentices at some point in their career. Now, granted, they're only working with 1 or 2 people at a time, and now you're managing 30, and that's a big change. Again, the fact of the matter is, we want to keep programs open, and we can be an organization that helps those teachers grow.
And we need to contact the districts and say, we're here to help support that teacher.
Which is part of an RAO's
Here's
job.
your resources in the area with the other high schools, like for us in Oakland County, we're so close and we meet once a month for 6 months out of the school year, we have that already. But for districts that are further apart and further away, schools that are further away,
Attention vendors,
we dropped this
lunch
person in
tickets
there
need
and
to be
they're like,
submitted by
"Oh,
11 a.m.
what
Please
did I
submit your
sign
lunch
up for?"
tickets to any
And so,
booster or orange shirts
to
walking
encourage
around.
those districts to hire that
Also,
person that
the
doesn't have
basket
a lot of
raffle tickets need to be dropped off in the atrium underneath the red balloons. Basket raffle tickets need to be dropped off underneath the red balloons
That person we can.
in the atrium by the main office.
But the only way we're gonna
Thank
know
you.
when those positions come open typically is gonna be through our RAOs.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who know, hey, there's gonna be a vacancy in this county.
It
Yeah.
is, but we could also though come up with some kind of a form letter and send it to our curriculum people in every district. Just to make them aware, hey, did you know we existed? They could pass it on even to that person that's.
And it's
in the-
nothing for us to offer teacher training
Exactly, but
at our
you
show.
know, we could send that out ahead of time. I'll tell you right now, I bet you half of my administrators don't even know I do this, even though I do it every year and I advertise it, da-da-da-da-da. But I think something official coming from the organization and then also coming from the RAO and also coming from a member in a nearby school gives that, you know, the more information I think the better, so that somebody with, oh yeah, I think there was something out there that da-da-da kind of thing. That I think we haven't really touted our skills and our
We have
abilities
not
and
done.
our organization enough.
We've
The
struggled
more
with a
we
lot of
put that
different
out there.
areas over the past few years, and this is one thing that we're working on getting better and moving our ship in the right direction is being better advocates for ourselves. One thing that we're also working on the side is our CTE conference in February. Basically, all the tech centers and a lot of our bigger high schools
yeah.
they send people to. We're actually working on presenting at that.
We are
And-
presenting at that.
Well, we haven't heard back yet.
Oh.
We have to hear back yet. But we're working on presenting at that, and we're working on setting up a vendor booth so that we get exposure to all those different organizations across the state.
If anybody wants to work that, by the way, Chuck and I are the only ones signed up right now to do it, so.
I may be
It's in
presenting.
Grand
It's in
Rapids.
Lance, it's in
It's in Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
The 27th and 28th,
I do one day.
I thought the 27th to the 29th.
Yeah, maybe that's
It's
it.
a Sunday through a Tuesday. Sunday is more of a elbow rub, and
Yeah.
then Monday and Tuesday. Monday is all day from 8
Tuesday,
to
I
3,
thought was
and then
half.
Tuesday is usually till a little bit after noon.
Yeah.
So at least we'll be represented there, which is good.
one-
We need to get out and do those.
one
We need to
thing-
get out.
Lois, and one thing that we as an organization need to come to the realize is that we're a volunteer-based organization, and let's face it, over the last 20 years, our volunteering has gone down. That's why it's the same people here at these meetings time after time. So that's one of our things while we're reaching out to our RAOs, saying, hey, you're our legs, you're our arms, you need to help us out so that we can help you out, so we can grow this, and then hopefully by us making those contacts with our RAOs and with our constituents, that we can actually continue to grow our volunteer base. You know, all of us have looked around this room at each other and said, man, this is a lot of work for us. We need to lighten our load a little bit and spread out our volunteering. Well, the way we do that is we have to contact it. It's going to be a little bit more work on our end up front, but hopefully we can thin out our load later in the end.
I want to address a thing too about student direct competition. So, for instance, I'm in charge of the MD category and the judging of the MD category. Now I'm bringing students to that competition. I can't do that. I can't participate in a conference. I have to watch my kids.
Right?
But
But
you
it's
have
gotta
now
be different. It has to
removed
be
all of
something
us
that
from
we have to
doing,
work
so
at.
now who's gonna do the judging? Who's gonna run those things? Who's gonna, you know, as soon
Right.
as
But
I
the
bring
student
students
competitions
in.
could be Friday.
Those are
I get that, but now I
competition.
have to leave I have to leave Thursday to come back to school, to get
Right.
those kids on Friday, to ride the bus up with them,
Right.
be there with them all day
Yeah.
Friday, ride the bus back home with them Friday, drive back up on Saturday, pick up my projects,
Yeah.
drive back.
To answer
home.
that, how I deal with that is I use parent chaperones for that.
I get that, but I'm just saying though that for somebody that's coming up, like my district won't let me leave all those kids with just a parent. they will require me to be with those kids
That's
also.
where you have an administrator.
So,
who-
And-
so that removes me from, and again, my administrators will be like, yep, don't have time.
Yeah.
Because it's in May, or it's during AP testing, kids
So
won't
that's
leave
something that
because
we're
of-
gonna have to
So
look
there's
at.
a lot of
It's a
things.
logistic thing. It's-
Exactly, it's a
we just
logistic
have
thing,
to
but
work
I wanna throw that out on the table to say, yeah,
But
it's
you're
great.
one of how many other teachers? That's the
Exactly.
problem.
Lois,
We
exactly.
can't fit it, we have to look at the whole.
I
of
understand that,
everything.
and
That's the
I'm
problem.
not saying mine's necessarily a unique thing.
Before we
But-
go ahead and try and I'm not saying you're gonna try and blackball, because that's not
Oh,
it.
no,
and I-
not at all,
But
not at all.
we're all in that same boat with you, and we all feel that. And so when we developed it, as we developed this, I already contacted, I think 3 or 4 people to head up these different areas. And they're gonna be working with us so that we can try and alleviate those
Exactly.
issues.
And that's
'Cause
kind
we're
of, I
there
guess my
with you.
point was to, here's how we can work around it, here's what we
Right.
can do. So for instance, if I were gonna get, like I wanted to bring my kids to Mike's this year to see the projects, it's a half day of school.
Yep.
I can't get a bus. I'm out, you know, and it's like, and I'm still
It's
trying to
aggravating
figure out
at
a way
best,
to
too.
do it.
Yep.
You know, by offering them extra credit, by coming in the afternoon, all kinds of ways like that. But it's like, as soon as it's like, yeah, this is really great, we really wanna do this, you know, it's like, we need to kinda help teachers around those roadblocks, I guess is what
We
I'm
will.
getting
We
at.
will get
Figure
there.
out ways that we can get those kids to participate. Maybe it's on the Wednesday
Something.
instead of on the Friday.
Right.
All right, other discussion?
I
Yes.
just, a couple things on that. One, when you said get people from industry, I already see a problem with that. It's gonna be called the money. Due to the fact that I just went through a major negotiation thing with my union at school. The pay's not gonna be there.
No, it's not.
So that's gonna be the problem until something happens with all that. And then 2, I just read it was in an article that I got in Woodshop News yesterday or Thursday. Wisconsin, so WCA, they just had 17 new teachers get certified in WCA.
Welcome to the 2019 Dakota Boosters Holiday Craft Show. A few announcements.
Economic
Please
development and
don't
talent.
forget to purchase your tickets
So,
for the Crafter
for
Basket
every
raffle at the door.
student that
We
you
have
have
3 baskets valued at over $500 each. Tickets
They
are on
give
sale for $5 for
$1,000
$20 or $5 each. Please drop the tickets off by the red balloons between the east and west entrance at the end of the atrium by the front office. You will see
Yeah,
the
so I
red
don't know
balloons
if
ready
that's
to drop
something-
them off.
You know, I don't
Concessions
know
are
how
available by the
to
east
tell, but-
entrance. Vendors, your lunch tickets need to be submitted by 11 a.m. Please find a worker in an orange shirt to submit them or any board booster member walking around. Thank you.
So I thought that was kind of, I thought that was rather
Be
interesting.
something to
You
get a
got
hold of.
30, huh?
Be somebody to get a hold of and talk
And
to.
I know Rob has always been pushing that WCA. Is it Wood Career Alliance? Yeah.
Thank you.
But, so I don't know how they got that process to work out, if that's something we reach out to somebody in Wisconsin and say, hey, how did you work this? And
The only way we're gonna find out is
and
making
take
that
it
phone
to
call.
the state and say, hey. But yeah, I just read it in my Woodshop News that I get every month.
Mm.
They get $1,000 per student.
I'll send you the link. I have the link back.
Financial-
Yeah, if you don't mind sending
Yeah,
the
I'll
link.
send it to you. That's all right.
What other discussion do we have? Yep.
I'm just gonna say, we're gonna struggle with this until the colleges and universities bring back programs to say.
Which we talked about that with the state. And,
Cyclical.
and it is cyclical because they won't bring back the programs until the numbers support it. The numbers won't support it until we get youngsters who are interested in going into career and technical education again.
So I think it's such a large umbrella of issues, it's not just, us doing our part as we can,
Right.
but there's all these other issues that the state's dealing with.
But we know that in the next 8 years, it's going to be a severe problem.
Right.
Because, you've got 2 graduating classes of kids and there's only 3 programs in the state that certify,
Right.
so.
Until they find some way to incentivize people to get into that program, bring those programs back.
And part of that falls square on all of our shoulders. We need to make sure that we want to push kids in the right direction. And I know a lot of us think about education like, do we really want to have kids be teachers? But on the same note, if we don't advocate for ourselves and advocate for our kids, we're shooting ourselves in the foot as well.
I mean, we have 250 members talking to kids every day. And if those members encourage those kids to go into this field, some of them will.
Boy, just the process of, have you ever thought of this as a career? Just plant the seed.
That may be a good thing when we're talking about educating teachers. How do you have those discussions that are fully real but fully positive at the same time? How do you promote your program to, because they see what teachers go through, they know, and so to make it more, it's not, we don't do this for perks, the money, and what we do for you.
Yeah.
And-
Parenting 101.
I think.
How do we be a parent for all of our kids?
Right.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Oh boy, let's see. I appreciate the effort you put in and to continue the things that have been going on for the last umpteen years. Obviously, you guys are, current, and it was kind of comical to hear about the old white guys, and I thought gray hair, and then I looked around the room, and the two grayest ones are retirees, but we got one in the corner, and that's the easiest thing. But, in the last 10 years, looking around, we've got a lot more women involved in MITS. We've got a lot of I call all you guys middle range educators. You've been at it 10 years-ish, more or less. And there's a big gap from you to us. We've got to make sure that everyone is involved in MITS statewide. They've got to, because it's their baby. Cliff and I can't help you a whole lot more. Other than provide some support in the background and stuff. So, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, the process of making the progress to actually, get them somewhat interested, introduce them out. The governor has got to be at Oakland Community College this year, and all of that MCTE group, they need to be there too. If multiple of us make contact with the governor's scheduling office with a, hey, here you go. This is an opportunity, and just keep hammering on it. It'll happen one of these times. We really, over the years, have had one governor in the office, in our convention, and they didn't stay long because they were going somewhere else, and it just happened by coincidence. But if ever there's been a great time to do this, or a better time, it's now, because she had to read MITES before she struck it out. And the $50,000 that was allocated, that's a first. That has never happened. I mean, I don't know how many of you felt that was going to go through. Couldn't have been too many. But the fact that it was there, and now we have an opportunity to bring those people responsible for that money right in the door after the fact, it's like, that's going to change. We're going to have that funding at some point.
That was exactly one of our conversations on Wednesday we had with our lobbyists. We said, well, how do we get those senators, those representatives, and the governor at our convention? And our lobbyist said, that's what you pay me for.
Yeah.
We get him as
with
we
our
get him
help,
a sheet.
I mean,
No, he said,
No,
we get them
literally,
a sheet. He will make the calls, and he will make it happen.
Because when the legislative group finds out that they have constituent students in their districts that are going to be in, especially in Lansing, he was talking about our Lansing convention next year. He said, I'll get those out to people, and you'll have 25 or 30 senators here.
Yeah. And we've been going to Lansing 5 times over the last 15 years, probably, routinely. And anybody that really pushed a little bit to get their legislator there was pretty successful. 2025, the first year or the second time we were there, we were hoping for a whole bunch because we're right down the road. What else you got to do? But that was better than nothing.
Right.
And the point that we made back then was the teacher can call all they want. If the student's family calls or the student, different story, which is pretty much what we said. If they know their students are, well, I'm so-and-so student and I'm coming to Lansing, can you come and meet me? Boom. And the same thing with the government. So I'd say, figure out a plan, provide the address, maybe a guideline of here's the process. Make a contact. It takes 15 minutes, and then you got all the background information. 2 months later, hit them again.
One of the
Squeaky wheel.
One of the beneficial parts for us was talking with our lobbyist and finding out why we pay him $6,000 every year.
Yeah.
And so through that conversation, we learned a lot about what we can work with him
Yeah,
help.
he
what
does a
kind of
lot.
Magic he can help.
He does
for
a
us.
lot more than what we realized he did.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Don just didn't do that,
I think
or did it,
the communication back and forth is always what's been lacking.
right.
Yeah.
But our new lobbyist is very, very good.
Cool.
So,
What's his name again?
Matt Curda.
Thank you.
Yeah. What other discussion do we have about legislative?
I don't know if it's necessarily legislative, but I want to
Yeah.
send out some letters since we're doing at OCC, my district's nearby. Do we have an official Mike's letterhead that we could write a letter on that I can send out to?
I have some.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a copy of that too.
So that we can send that, because I want to bombard like my superintendent, my curriculum people, my middle school. I have a half day, so it's a perfect opportunity for my middle school teachers to come over. We'll do our PD there. It takes me out of doing some of the conferencing, but I think it's important that our middle school teachers see it. I want to invite, schools that aren't participating to come. So I want to do as much of a show and tell as possible with as many people that I can get to show up.
Okay.
Could you create like a boilerplate letter that the rest of us could kind of use to do the exact same thing?
When you have your monthly or bi-monthly meeting with your local folks, could you make that announcement through the website? Just as an example to all the others that might see it and say, hey, here's an idea. Or, if I see it, I happen to be close by, I'd like to stop by and see what's going on, type of thing. That'd be cool.
Yep, so the goal is we've all done or we're still working on doing our fall advisory meetings. So at our advisory meeting, it was, we asked, can you come judge, can you come see, can you come, kind of thing.
Pat.
No, there's even a better idea. Have your advisory committee meeting at Mike's that morning, that Friday.
Yeah,
We
that's
do
what
that
we do.
every year, and you wouldn't believe the number of people we get. Because we have all the projects out. There's kids getting jobs from it because they'll leave cards on it and everything. We have our advisory committee meeting right there at Mike's because we have a county-wide advisory committee, and it's awesome.
We used to do that, a countywide one. We ran into the problem of too many teachers versus
Not enough
industry
industry.
people.
Just
Right.
leave them
Could
on the
we,
list.
could we create those for, have a session of that at the convention?
I absolutely think we should have a convention session about how to run a meeting, how to run a advisory board meeting.
And-
Absolutely.
Well, then, but
We
have one. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were straight
Yeah.
told by Brian Piles that, well, if they're not on if all the teachers aren't on your sign-up list, if you just show up, then it doesn't matter.
Well,
So we have a county-wide one, but he's not on my sign-up list,
Right.
my sign-up list.
the
So
other,
would he be an industry person?
He's not just
no,
not on
he
the
just
list.
isn't on his list.
So that way,
He's
so that way it
not-
always balances where
Right.
there's more industry than
Oh, okay, I
educators.
gotcha.
So that's
Because
how
you have
we
to
did
have
it.
one more industry than educators.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah.
we did it at Oakland County.
That's a great clarification.
Here's the problem that we ran across is when we did it at Oakland County, the reason that we couldn't do it at Mike's in Saginaw, say, because our industry people would have to come from our area to come up to Saginaw to be counted as.
You're talking state convention.
Have it
Yeah,
at your
the
region.
We're talking
We're
regional.
Regional.
We're talking
Yeah,
regional
regional.
convention.
At your
Regional convention.
That way they don't have to drive so far.
What other discussion do we have about State Department of Ed? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, publications. I didn't get anything. Just so you know, part of the reason that you're getting harped so much is because I'm harping so much. I understand that this is a trying time, and I do want to be sensitive about that. But I also understand that we really need to get the journal out. And so I've been putting considerable pressure on him to get this thing going. So just so you know, when you get calls every day, it's because he's getting calls every day. And it rolls downhill sometimes. But I haven't heard anything other than we're not there yet. I did ask if he needs any information, if I can be assistance at all. Does he need me to contact people to get articles? He says no, he's got all of the materials. He just needs to put it together. So I offered to help him put it together, but he says he would rather do it. So I think just I'm gonna keep bugging. Because we really do need to get that out. You know, a lot of the things, even in the president's report and vice president's letters and things like that, go out for our design to go out in September in the beginning of the school year. So by the time people get them in November, December, that information is going to be old. And I would like to communicate more regularly with our membership, which might be through emailing. I was thinking through the website, but people don't necessarily check the website regularly yet, so I might still need to email.
That's changing.
But that is changing.
We've got 400 regular kits, and when I say that, I mean weekly.
Right, that's awesome. So, okay.
Ton of me.
So you got like two.
Yeah, actually, I see how much you're on there.
Oh. Is it a good
Publicity
thing or a
and
bad
public
thing?
relations. Did Lois take that out? Was it Lois? You took that over, right?
What are we talking
I think so.
The publicity and public relations?
about? Lois did, yeah.
You took that over, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, do you have any report for us?
No, basically what I'm looking for is that letterhead. So my goal would be to come up with some kind of a generic letter. Who would I send that to though to get it approved, looked
To me.
at, to you? Okay. To send out to, and I just asked David if he has a list of at least in Oakland County, what teachers didn't participate, but then step into Wayne County, Macomb County, kind of the southern counties that don't seem to really participate very much, that if there's a way he can pull out the places that do participate, send that letter out to those RAOs and say, hey, can you reach out to those, here's your list of schools, can you reach out to these schools, let them know we exist, ask them to come judge, you know, that kind of thing, ask them to participate, mentor them, you know, that kind of thing. So I think we need to start, like you said, with the RAOs doing the local thing, but if we can send those RAOs some kind of a letter so that they kind of know where to start from, kind of give them a little bit of prodding, hey, you know, we're looking for increasing, you know, kind of thing. I don't know, incentive-wise, if we can really do anything incentive-wise, you know, hey, if you bring 3 new members this year, we can take off $10 on your membership or something, I don't know. Some way to recognize those people that are increasing our membership, certificate, you know, something.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve? Second? Discussion.
Just to incentivize, like, my son's baseball team, they give the coaches 50% off their kids' playing fee. What if we did that, like 15% off the RAO's membership fee for the year? Wouldn't be a huge cost to us, but it's some compensation for the work they're doing for the organization.
I think that's a good idea. The only thing that I would ask is if we're going to validate that and make sure that we give that to our RAOs, I want some sort of insurance policy that we're doing work. You know, so hey, show me who you contacted. Show me something that
Yeah.
justifies me giving you 50% off.
Well, it's,
But yeah,
I gladly work with you on sorting out that process.
yeah.
So the work you did this year gives you the benefit for next year.
Right.
Oh,
That's
that's
what it-
good
yeah,
idea.
that's what it,
And you have to, you know, because then you can say, look, I brought 2 new members, I brought 10 more
Yeah.
projects,
that's
I
what
brought.
it's.
Heck yeah. Let's get that one rolling. Well, obviously we have to vote on it, but let's start to develop that, and maybe we can introduce that in our March meeting when we have our sit down heart to heart.
So let's
I'll
put that
a
under new
motion
business.
together.
Let's put that under new business for March then.
Yeah.
So we'll vote on that.
Is this for March or
Could-
January?
I was gonna say, I'll put a motion together, like the 2 of us can work on that.
Yeah.
We'll introduce it January,
Yep.
second reading and approval in
In
March.
March.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do that. So put that
Pat?
into January.
There was a couple of years ago, I brought it up at a meeting, I think it was at Paw.
We threw stuff at you.
Yeah, but during that meeting about getting membership to show up for these meetings, it was also discounted somehow into the, I don't know what that.
Yeah, but you know, at one point I did offer people, because we needed people to present,
Basically,
Okay.
activity
I
bringing.
dropped,
like,
either gave them their membership, or I dropped the price.
Yeah.
So that was for when we. I'll bring something up in new business about some of that.
I don't think we
Yeah,
ever.
it did. It's only for a few people. There was only, I think only a few people taking advantage of it.
But it drew some attention to it.
And it was actually members that were already members, so it wasn't like we got somebody from.
Everything we can get in positive direction.
I'm gonna bring something up under new business.
Josh?
So in the idea of the reduced membership fee, and going back to some schools pay for it, some teachers pay for it for the convention, we're looking to get people to be at the convention. We want bodies on the floor of teachers, right?
Right.
We already incentivize the exec board for the work they do by giving them their rooms for free. As long as they have 2 members in there, it's a free room. If you want RAOs to be there to help out, to stay, that aren't already division reps and so on, tell them, we'll pay for your room if you doing whatever criteria that we set up for you as RAO, you're meeting these goals. Or if you're a presenter, we'll pay for your room. And if we still want to keep it, like everybody else at 50%, as long as you have somebody in there with you, you're giving them that opportunity. I mean, where were we getting tonight? $100, $120 this last time or whatever a night.
Yeah.
I mean, when you figure it's basically giving them their membership for free, the school's still paying for it, or it's kind of reimbursing that individual that they don't have that cost on them. Now, maybe some of the schools still pay for that, but it's an option for those of us from small districts that never had any reimbursement whatsoever.
Right.
I'd have much rather had my hotel pace covered than my membership costs.
That's another good idea.
At the convention, the executive board rooms are fully covered, not half. It's the rest of the meetings, if we have an overnight, that's when it's half.
So we do the REOs 50%,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
or something like that.
And like you said, only a fraction of them will take advantage of that because they're paying out of their own pocket rather than their school. Many of the schools currently are giving them some compensation for their
Exactly.
cost. So those folks that don't need it probably don't take it, or shouldn't take it.
Right.
So we should check with, since we're focusing on our RAOs here, we should see what is most beneficial to them and possibly open different opportunities for them. So I'll start talking with our RAOs, sending out some emails and seeing what we can do to help, because that's, like I said, that's one thing that I really want to focus on is expanding that RAO capacity. You know, there are arms in our legs that need to help us out so we can help them.
Other discussion? Okay. CTSOs. I wish we did have a report because this is important. If anyone ever talks to Chuck or Cliff, please have them. Yeah, because that is integral to what we're doing with the state. They don't understand their level of importance, and they're doing a great job. So we really need them to report on that.
So are we still doing the student thing this year? 'Cause
We
I haven't
are.
seen any paperwork.
There hasn't been yet. That's why we need them to do a report.
Because I'm trying to get like,
Yeah, if you don't
especially
mind.
since it's
Pete, you wanna
local,
do
I'd
that,
like to
or-
get kids there, but.
Yeah, because we will have a
I'll call
student organization.
this week.
Industrial contact.
Well, Jim's not here.
Yeah.
I did, it's close to home. Close to home.
40 miles. But still, it's not 140.
So I don't have a report from Jim. Mike's endowment.
There's been no changes in the last 2 months. I have no report, but I would like to offer the fact that it's time for a new chair. As I told you probably the last time, I inherited this job by default, and I can't give it away. So let's think about maybe next year making that my last year as endowment chair.
So one more.
Absolutely, yeah, I'll do it next year, and that'll be
If we can bring in
a
some
total
underneath,
of
yeah.
35 years on the board. It's about time to share the love.
But you'll still be a part of it.
I'll certainly be a part of it. I think probably for life. But, gotta get those old guys out of here.
Old white guys.
Yeah, them old white guys.
Not just old guys. So no report. Thank you.
Motion to, oh, no. Automotive or construction competition, I asked Joe to be here. I don't see him. No report. Automotive competition. We're gonna invite the automotive people to our next meeting, to have them in, and I would like them to go through, or one of the representatives to go through and talk to the board more specifically. I know we talked about it last time, and those conversations are happening, but I want them to come and talk to the board as a whole, as a representative of that committee, so that we can all, so it's not just coming from me, basically. And they can understand, we do support you, we want to support you, but there's some things that we can't give on, which they're not totally understanding that, so. Appointments.
Our appointment is Pat Steyer for the National Committee.
Yep.
Congratulations, bud. Surprise.
National organization.
Yep.
Well,
He's
That's
already,
fine.
he already
I was
runs
supposed to
national
tell you last
organization,
night, but
so-
I was drunk.
That's the title.
I'll put that in the notes.
Yeah.
Do we have, yeah, okay. So all those in favor of appointing Pat Steyer to, the college, oh no, we have to do what?
Discussion?
Approve the whatever discussion.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Make a motion to approve.
Second? Discussion? I think you're gonna do great.
Yeah, way to go, Pat.
Way to go.
Thanks
And-
for stepping up.
Please plan on doing one seminar at the, I know you're not busy enough.
Can I, what's he gonna do? Like, what is it? What are we actually asking him to do?
Go ahead, give your elevator speech.
Yeah.
My elevator speed.
Yeah, 2 minutes about what you do.
Start.
What do you do with your national organization?
Oh, okay. Oh, you want to know about?
See.
Okay, so there is actually, if you go to, it's National Technical Honor Society. It is basically the CTE version of the regular honor society. It's a lady that runs it out of her house. And she started it, and it's accredited throughout the nation. And I'll tell you one thing, my kids have benefited more off of that site, just from the scholarships. They got a big long list of scholarships that they can apply for and everything. And I think I'm gonna talk to her about seeing if Mike's can be involved.
Welcome to 2019 Dakota Boosters Holiday Craft Show. Please don't forget to purchase your tickets for the Crafter Basket Raffle at the door. We have 3 baskets valued at over $500 each. You can get 5 tickets for $20 or $5 for each ticket. You will return the tickets in the atrium by the main office where the red balloons are. That is where the Crafter Basket Raffle stand is. Look for the red balloons by the main office between the east and west entrances. Concession stands are available by the east entrance. Also, don't
where's
forget
she
to
out
stop and get at the stamp table so you can complete your stamp
Where
card.
does she live? Where's she
We have
located?
over 180 vendors here and look forward to the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Okay, so anyway, I picked it up, it's gotta be 6 or 7 years now. And it has been awesome for us. We actually do a lot of fundraising, do a lot of community projects. They get cords just like the normal national honor site. And I'll tell you what, if I would have knew them, I would have got a packet and brought it. They get a packet with a whole bunch of extra stuff. At the beginning, we were paying, kids were paying for their own, it was like $30 for the packet of all the goodies. But now we do so much fundraising stuff. So everything's free.
I was just gonna say, could you write up a little blurb
Oh, I'm going to.
how members can join?
Well, what I want to do is now that I have this session, I'm gonna see if the lady will come to the session.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I was asking where she's out of, so we
She's
can
out of
have her come in.
She's out of North Carolina. But she knows me really good. I mean, I've talked to her a lot. So,
Does Amy know?
and she, yes, Amy knows. But I mean, like, she just talks to me a lot about it.
So we only need to
Because I'm asking her questions about scholarships and stuff. She's like, yeah, go nuts.
So when your kids join, do they also join as a club? Like my kids join and they pay the club fee.
Okay, so you can't use it as your CTSO because it has, and I was told this directly from Brian Piles, because it has restrictions on the GPA. So I took those same rules and everything and I applied it to my CTSO, and that is a subsection of the CTSO. And he's like, oh, you can do that.
Because you can't, because every kid has to have the opportunity to be a part of your CTSO. So you can't exclude any kid on any bias.
But I mean, all the bylaws, all the rules and everything, we kept the same. We just said, okay, this is a subsection of it. And it worked out great.
Any last discussion about appointments? Yes.
The, what is the title of your job, sorry?
National organization.
National organization.
Yeah.
Okay, initially, the national organization rep was representing us to the ITEA,
Yes.
and then ACTE.
Yes.
Yeah.
We kind of adopted as our national organization just because we had to, but nobody ever went, except we did go to a national convention and recruit vendors one year. Jeff Kulisarian and
I think
Well, that is fine.
that kind of thing.
That
So,
is fine
you know, whatever we choose to do with it, just be aware that
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
that-
knew that we were changing it.
Well, that's fine too, because I talked to Jim Berry as the secretary of
For
the
ACT.
ACT. And he's right down
Really?
the street.
Yeah, we can count him in to help him.
Yeah, we can cut him. You know.
He is a good director.
sounds like MITS one.
Okay, let's move to vote. All those in favor of the appointment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Yeah, we did that through the, no, because we're gonna, only by the board that's the board members. Oh, yeah. We do. Okay. Old business. So, old business, we need to clarify our executive board and our board of directors. This is a vote only for the board and the board of directors. So,
Is there anybody here?
Nope.
Anybody
No.
no, you're an RAO.
RAO and assistant RAO.
is? Yeah, you're good.
Everybody here.
So everybody here can vote, correct?
Yep.
That's pretty much what's going
I did. I made copies, but I'm not gonna give it out.
Are you doing the bylaws? Is that what you're doing?
No, we're just clarifying who the executive board is and who the board of directors. We're gonna do that, after we do constitution today.
Okay,
We're doing constitution today.
but we've already looked at bylaws
Yeah, we did.
and made proposals. We haven't voted on it yet, even though we're following the guidelines.
Yeah, we have to make a change.
But I
So
won't be picky.
we have to do our second reading of that though.
Right here, right here.
It's just curious where that was coming from.
Yeah, because you have to do 2 readings of it before you can vote, right?
So before we provide it to the rest of the board,
Only if I get it.
is that the idea? Puzzle here.
That is a point.
Discuss it during, make that your second reading. You're thinking the committee reads it twice, but I think it's 2 readings before the board of directors.
Oh, weren't we going to do,
I thought we were gonna do both of them and put them all
we were
online
gonna
for
do
the
all,
board of directors.
I thought we were gonna do all 3 of them and then in January have our first meeting and then
Oh, that's
March
cool
do our
too.
second meeting.
Yeah, that's what- That is how we did it. That's what we're gonna do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
But we were gonna clarify the
Hit the highlights.
the board and the board of directors. So.
Officers, treasurer.
Yep. So the
Directors, page 4.
the officers of the society are the president-elect, the secretary, and the treasurer, and that is the board.
That's the office.
The officers, the executive board. Nope. Board of directors. The board of directors shall be the executive board, the chairpersons of standing committees, the regional administrative officers, and we were going to have assistant RAOs.
That is the current-
Assistant.
That's currently the way the Constitution reads, yes.
Assistant RAOs. We did take it out. So we're going to put that back.
Where was it?
Right here under board of directors.
No, my pages have switched, that's good.
Standing committees of the society are auditing, auto, construction, constitutional revision, election, endowment, legislative, MITEA, scholarship, Mike's recognition, nominating, past president's advisory, publication, publicity and public relations, membership, and website are the standing committees. So we need to vote to adopt those because we did make changes to our board. So do I have a motion to make a vote? Or no, I just can vote, right?
Yes.
So let's have a vote on if we agree to changing those titles.
Can we get a reading of the changes first?
Yes.
I can get that.
You got it?
What it was and what it is.
You know, you heard what was proposed. The ones that are potentially eliminated from the standing committees are the convention site selection, grant writing, fundraising, local convention, the title MITES Abrams Grant, MITES Marketing, resolutions, retired teachers, and research. Thank you, I do see that. The other changes that were proposed were to eliminate the titles of the awards. Instead of Ben Westernen, Master Teacher, it would become
We're not voting on that, though.
MITES.
We're not voting on that.
Well, that's part of the committee thing, is what I'm saying. But those were proposed.
Yeah, but the committee chair would still stand. We would still have that, just the titles would change.
Okay. Okay.
So that's not what we're voting on.
So let me hit it one more time. The standing committees that are proposed to be eliminated from the bylaws: convention site selection, grant writing, fundraising, local convention, Abrams MITES Grant Committee,
Actually, it would be.
marketing, research,
Change the
resolutions,
names in
retired
here.
teachers.
So
Those
we
are
would
the
like-
committee proposed changes. Standing committee proposed changes.
I think it's worth saying that we are looking at changing the names of the recognitions award. It doesn't change our vote, but we're looking at changing the awards to Master Teacher Award, Publicity Award, Distinguished Service Award, Honorary Life Membership Award, and Lifetime Achievement Award. Because when the executive board met, we felt that the names of the original founders of those awards are outdated, and the people are honored by getting an award and don't necessarily relate to the original recipient of that award. But just to be clear, that's not what we're voting on. That's just one of the things that will be changing, potentially. So we're voting on so let me just explain. The reason that when I took over, I felt that Mike's needed to streamline itself. And although this was revised in 2012, right, which doesn't seem like that long ago, 2013, there was things that were added but not retracted. And I felt like to be moving, and that's my goal, is always moving forward, is we needed to streamline our organization and trim the fat of some of the things that we just don't use anymore that aren't applicable to our organization. And so that's why the executive board is meeting, and is meeting again today, to eliminate some of the things that we just don't use anymore. They were a part of our organization for a long time. When we had a lot of members, those positions were filled, but we have vacancies that aren't, we have no reports on things time and time and time again. And that's why we're looking at eliminating these positions. So I make a motion to move, or to vote. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Actually, do we have to do a roll call vote on this?
I don't think you do.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
wondering if you,
I don't think so, no.
I'm wondering if you should open for discussion.
Oh, okay. So let's do discussion on this before we vote.
So with the convention site selection committee being next, we're not nixing the idea of the convention committee.
Okay, so last time we met, Jeff has created a group of about 5 individuals that are transferable. So the past president isn't going to necessarily run the convention anymore. The past president will have a seat at the table to be on that committee, but that person will not chair that committee. Out of those 5 people, they're going to go from convention to convention to convention and organize it. So we're going to have one person for.
Time we had an awardee who couldn't get a ticket because he waited until the last minute. He didn't get a ticket, and wandered around outside, never got his award in person because he was not in the facility. Well, you know, he could have walked in the facility if he knew. But unfortunately, we overlooked it because times were busy at that particular moment for the people that were responsible. So it came about that the president-elect then inherited the job of the overall chair of all of the award committees for master teacher, Bedell, Schilling, blah, 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 blah. Made good sense. Hardly anybody made reports after that. You know, I mean, nobody reported to the Met because the president-elect had plenty of jobs. Does that job still need to be done? I don't know what I think, but as long as the job's done, I'm happy as a clam. But who double checks?
I think the president-elect still does that job, though.
I do too.
The trouble is,
I'm not sure it's written anywhere, though. That's
well,
the problem.
but that's something we're going to have to talk about in closed session today. Because if we do end up going to a 2-year term for our president,
Yeah.
that means there's going to be a leap year where we don't have a president-elect. So that either needs to fall to, we need to create a chair position, and we'll talk about that in our meeting today. We either need to create a chair position for recognition awards, or that is going to have to fall on a president to make those. And they'll have to do it for 2 years. So that's something we're going to have to discuss, because that is a flaw in the system if we go to a 2-year term.
With regard to the naming of the awards, we'll discuss that during new business or during.
That's going to have to come up at new business in January, once we have the bylaws and constitution done. No. Yeah, all 3 of them done. So we're going to do constitution this time, we're going to do duties next time.
Constitution is the only one that gets voted on at the annual meeting. The other 2 sections can be done at regular board meetings with the majority.
So yes, we should, with 2 readings.
No,
Okay. So we can vote on it next time. We
absolutely.
can vote on, okay.
Absolutely.
So that's when we'll do
The
that.
only 2 reading thing, well, I used to review that. Did you find that somewhere in there, other than financial?
It's in the Constitution
Is that
about 2 readings. So,
for changes to
exactly,
Constitution?
I believe so.
Okay.
So we'll check. We're gonna go through it today.
I'm really getting tired of reading over that thing. I gotta tell you. I'm curious, as a Schilling and a Bedell Award winner, it means something to me to, as far as the history of the organization, to receive an award named in honor of somebody who's come before me and made the thing work. And was recognized by their fellow members.
I'm gonna
So
stop you.
eliminate the name.
I'm gonna stop
Yeah,
you,
you're
only
right.
because we're voting
Gotcha.
on these changes, and we're not voting on that.
Well, the
But we
reason
will
I-
have that open for discussion
Okay,
next
and
time.
we've got a master teacher award winner here too, so I was curious what his thoughts were. So I appreciate that. Thanks for the reminder.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah.
So, any other discussion before we take the name changes to a vote?
Not those name changes.
Yeah,
but
elimination
the
of titles.
position
Titles,
adjustments,
title
right?
adjustments. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Nay. 1 nay.
2.
And then we need to put on business for next time, ratify Constitution, or the bylaws. Okay, new business.
The only thing I'm looking at, because I think we finally got this whole, I mean, I know at one time we went to just the standard for membership, but now it seems, but that was kind of in a transition. We were the electronic and everything.
You're talking the payment?
Payment.
Okay.
But what I'm thinking of is next year is maybe offering, like if you have a school district that has 5 teachers that are MITES members, giving a break on what the cost is. Just because I kind of ran into it this year with my administrator, because I mean, my school pays for my conference, but then when I was talking to her about having the STEM teacher pay, she's like, oh, so you're both going to be gone. And the problem is people are gone, and everybody in here who teaches has a sub problem. So she's looking at that, going, well, so that means both of you are going to be at the conference. Well, no, he's staying back, but I'm going to the conference but he's the STEM teacher, but he does stuff that that could get entered into categories. At some type.
So you're saying would pay for the convention, but not the conference?
Yes, would pay for that, yeah. So looking at something with that, but like I think I'll probably, like Josh, I'll deny because he's on the financial end of it. Figure something.
We did go, I'm sorry, yeah.
Just something, and it's because it's been brought up to me many times before about, well, what about if the school district has, I mean, I think of like St. John's. I think they have 4 or 5 teachers that all pay. But the other thing is, they all end up at conference too. So there's kind of,
The middle school doesn't always.
yeah, she doesn't.
Well, and I think too, like, I could entice my middle school teachers to enter more projects,
Yes.
but that $100, they're not
That's
going to
what-
the convention.
yeah.
They're like, by the time I enter my 8 projects, what am I getting for my $100? What's
Right.
the point? So
That's what I'm just looking at, yeah, it brings our membership up, but yet and plus it also adds, because, student project count would go up too. And we could encompass more of those teachers because of the STEM and,
Do you have any idea of what you're thinking for a dollar amount?
no, not offhand.
I mean, even if we wanted to get, more elementary
And that's the other
entries,
case.
they're not gonna pay, it
Right.
should be a set fee for the whole building, say. 'Cause, when
That's
are you
gonna
gonna
be
get
the
a handful
problem.
of projects? I could go work with my elementary to get a couple of projects maybe, but am I gonna charge them the whole $100 for
That's the
that-
problem
that
too, is
entry?
like my $100 comes out of my
Right.
administrator's budget for the middle school, where the elementary principals have to take it. And we have STEM 8 through kindergarten, K through 8. So I could, and I know there's things they're doing that could
Yeah,
fit in.
and so many of them are doing maker spaces, that would be the
Yeah.
perfect place to start with getting lights involved.
I
but
just
they're not
look
gonna
at
pay
it as
that
growing the
$100. They're not gonna have
membership
the
and
$100.
getting more,
Right.
it's something
So that's something that we need to,
discuss, maybe even as an exec board, we could
Especially if
just
the state's wanting us
discuss
to
it.
do that K-12, we gotta find a way
Yeah,
to get
that's-
those
yeah, and then-
K-12 in.
Yeah, what you just mentioned, the K-12 thing, so then that got me
Right.
thinking,
it resonates, yep.
yeah,
Okay.
even more that we need to look at that.
I was just gonna say, could we do maybe a district membership where, same kind of thing, but like, my middle school teachers could potentially be MITES members now, especially with what you guys said about
Yeah.
what's happening at the state level, and we could probably get some elementary teachers in as well. But if we could pay maybe, I don't know, $800 or $900, some kind of thing where,
Yeah, I do, but I also see some other problems, because like in my district, everything comes out of each building's budget. So
I
if you
guess,
had an
can we have
so
a-
somehow we just have to figure out a way that it can,
yeah, could we have a discussion at some point
Yeah.
with a bunch of us to sort this all out?
yes,
Because
that's what we need to have.
this could be huge.
Yes, that's what and I think as an exec board, that's something that we need
And
to,
that would really help with the
Discuss.
state too, to say we truly are doing the K-12 thing.
and then we're
not
getting
just
more
for-
diversified, because now we're getting more,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of, my district, I think 2 of the STEM teachers are women, so right there, now we're getting more diversified.
Okay, so that's something we're gonna vote on in January.
Okay.
All right. Any other new business? Oh,
Just as a clarification point, it's probably old business. I just want to make sure that I have full discretion to get. the-
yes. I forgot to email you.
CDs, right?
My fault. Yes, you do. We voted that, and you have full discretion to do that.
And then.
Oh, but you do have to report it how did we word that? There's a caveat.
Routinely?
No, it wasn't, he had to get approval from the board.
Oh, I think so.
We're finding it. I believe you have to get approval from the main board, from the executive board.
That's what I was thinking, it said here in the minutes, was, approval, so I would be just contacting the three of you, verify that it's good to go. That would take it back.
It is, but we agreed that we could just send a quick email and say, hey, I'd like to transfer this money, and then we just reply.
It's like virtually doing it.
Yes, so you do need, and that was, we wanted to checks and balances with just moving the funds. So, but all you have to do is send a quick email, and we can, or a text message, whatever, and we can approve it that way.
Okay. And then the second one is a written budget. Do you have the line items for each account and the numbering? You got that set up?
I do not.
Okay. I do need that.
That is something I need to get you.
Yes.
That's probably something I need to work with you on.
So whatever.
Because I have no
Welcome to
idea
the
what the budget's
2019 Holiday Craft Show, put on by the best boosters in the state of Michigan. Don't
I don't
forget
think
to
they did
purchase your
one.
tickets for the
I'm pretty sure
Crafter
Jeff never
Basket
did a
Raffle
budget,
at the
and
door.
I
We have
guarantee
three
Rob
baskets
did.
valued at over $500
So look
each.
and see like.
Buy tickets
Ryan.
for $20 or $5 each. Please drop off the Crafter Basket Raffle tickets in the atrium where the red balloons are. It's near the front main office.
Bowman was the last one.
Concessions are available by the east entrance. Don't
To the
forget to
budget.
fill up your stamp cards at tables in each area.
Ron
Thank
had
you.
something, but it was kind of late in the game.
It was, if it was super late.
Yeah, it was.
The last one I remember was at Jeff Bessarian's house.
Yeah.
That is something I'll work with you here
July
before the next meeting.
That's the last
So
one I
before the
remember.
next meeting, we'll have a budget in place.
Okay.
I know I was supposed to do that before our summer meeting, but I have no idea what things cost. So it's hard to put together a budget when we didn't know how much money we had
Right.
and we didn't know what things cost.
That's, I just didn't know where we were at on that.
No, I'll work with you. Maybe I'll drive out and visit.
Do we need to approve MCT money for the vendor?
Shall
No, we don't have to approve that.
No. I approve. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, executive